One of the most renowned names from the recent 4 days conflict between Israel and Palestine is currently on everyone's lips. And this is referred to as Hamas. So what exactly is Hamas? And what is Israel's relationship with it? Also, the attack occurred on October 7th. As of Monday, the death toll had crossed 3,000, with many injured on both sides. So, who is the brains behind this operation? Let us go into the story to elucidate and discover all of these answers. Because the man who devised all of this was not a common man. He is unlike any other intriguing and sophisticated commander or terrorist. People called him Mohammed Deif back then. Mr. Guest or the Guest are 2 more names by which he is known. Why is it like this? What's the reason? Why he simply stayed one night in whatever location he chose and then fled. So this is the story of Mohammed Deif, a shadowy Hamas commander who masterminded the attack against Israel. Deif is often described as a shadowy figure too, who has survived multiple attempts on his life by Israel. Although he took over as the Gaza commander of Hamas's military wing in July 2002, Deif had been at the top of Israel's most wanted list for years. Here's why. Traveled in past, Mohammed Deif, born Mohammed Deif. In 1965, Deif grew up in the Palestinian refugee camp of Khan Yunis in Gaza and came from a poverty-stricken family. He had to temporarily leave school to help out his family financially, holding several jobs from driving to working at a poultry farm and as an upholsterer. That time, Gaza was then under Egyptian control, and an Israeli official familiar with Deif's file that back in the 1950s, either his uncle or father had taken part in occasional raids by armed Palestinians into the same swath of land that was infiltrated on Saturday. When Hamas was formed in the late 1980s to combat Israel's then occupation of Gaza, Deif already in his 20s. The Ishaq al-Awsat Daily said that Deif joined Hamas at the end of 1987 before returning to school and earning his degree in 1988 after graduating from the Islamic University of Gaza. He then fully committed himself to Hamas's cause of destroying Israel with warfare and installing a Palestinian state, quickly rising through the group's ranks as the protege of Chief Bomb Maker Yahya Ayyash, also known as the Engineer. Ayyash was blamed for a series of deadly bus bombings in Israel in the early 1990s. After his assassination by Israel in 1996, more bus bombings followed. Deif was then accused of masterminding the attacks in revenge, along with numerous others on Israelis. He is said to be involved in the creation of Hamas' first rudimentary rockets and has been credited with designing the Qassam rocket. Of more than 3,000 were fired on Saturday alone. Hamas' rocket arsenal is now in the tens of thousands. Fast forward to 2021, Hamas deployed swarms of rockets in an attempt to overwhelm Israel's air defense system, which nearly ran out of munitions before a truce was brokered, demonstrating Deif's ability to constantly evolve alongside the Israeli military's technological achievements. He is also thought to be the mastermind behind a network of tunnels beneath Gaza that are used to transport weapons, fuel, and other commodities across from Egypt. He is thought to spend the majority of his time in these tunnels, eluding Israel's troops and supervising Hamas activities. According to Ishaq al-Awsat, other from his family and a few group members, few know Deif, Hamas military commander since 2002. The whereabouts of the man Israel has been looking for decades and who tops its most wanted list remain unknown. Residents in Gaza told that if we hadn't looked at him, we wouldn't have known him. According to the British tabloid, Israel has attempted to kill Deif at least 5 times, with the most recent attempt occurring in May 2020. Deif was nearly murdered in an air attack 20 years ago, which was believed to have cost him 2 limbs and left him wheelchair-bound. However, his ability to not only stay alive, but also to remain one step ahead of the game. This is the day of the greatest battle to end the last occupation on earth, Deif said in Saturday's video. announcing the start of Hamas's deadliest operation and calling on Palestinians everywhere to fight. He is said to have no interest in making peace with Israel, with an article in 2010 outlining his thoughts. Palestine will remain ours, including Al-Quds, Jerusalem, Al-Aqsa Mosque, its towns and villages from the Mediterranean Sea to the Jordan River, from the Mediterranean Sea to the Jordan, its north to its south. You, Israel, have no right to even an inch of it, wrote Deif, as quoted by the Chart Africa website. According to the report, Deif used the Oslo Accords, pair of agreements between Israel and the Palestine Liberation Organization, which in the late 1990s briefly held the promise of a negotiated peace settlement with Israel, as a betrayal of its resistance and the original goal to replace Israel with a Palestinian state. The Oslo Accords, signed in 1993, handed the PLO civil administration of the West Bank and Gaza Strip. The PLO still controls parts of the West Bank, while Hamas has controlled the Gaza Strip since 2007. Has own game plans. He has tried to start the second war of Israeli independence. A.O. Rosen, a colonel in the Israeli Army Reserves, told the Financial Times, "The main goal is to gradually destroy Israel. This is one of the initial steps. Yet, it is only the beginning." Hamas has called on resistance fighters in the West Bank and other Arab countries to join its newest operation, which began half a century after the Arab-Israel conflict of 1973. While there is no evidence that the attack, which began in Gaza, has stretched to the West Bank and Jerusalem, Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh planned. There are concerns that the Iran-backed Shiite militant outfit Hezbollah may be drawn into the battle. Hezbollah stated that it shot on Israeli positions in the disputed Shibaya Farms border area in solidarity with Hamas. The Israeli military announced on Monday that it had called up an unprecedented 300,000 reservists and was enforcing a comprehensive blockade of the Gaza Strip, implying that a ground invasion was in the works. This would be a significant increase in violence. The last Israeli ground invasion into Gaza was in 2014, but the Israeli military is prepared to respond with force. This terrorist action has put an end to this practice forever, an Israeli official said after the incident on Saturday, referring to past smaller strikes against Israel as Hamas practice. Now there will be no truce, only retaliation.